Slay the Spire 2 seems to be taking Slay the Spire to the next level in terms of these designs. Just look at this glow up of the cultist. Let's just do the two side by side to see the change. They've kept the iconic mask the same, but fixed the ugly feather dress thing and replaced his two sticks with a hammer and chisel, while paying homage to the original weapons on his side. The two big horns on his back are most likely another way of worshipping, and I'd be willing to bet he pulls them out to signal he's activating his strength gaining ability. Next enemy is the Shroom guy. Definitely an Act 1 enemy, so there's really not much to say. He uses the top of his head to attack, which is interesting, as mushroom caps usually don't do 16 damage from my IRL tests. They appear to spike at the end before contact. On the less interesting end in terms of design, but if all the designs were too exciting, it makes the elites and boss appear less intimidating when you finally reach them. Then we get to look at the first boss. Notice how the scene is pulled back to highlight the importance of the boss fight, which is a small but major change that will heighten these encounters. A very spiritual looking boss with a soft colour scheme and golden beads all over its body. These same beads can be seen hanging from the trees, which I've got to say, custom maps for each boss fights is so needed to give more character to the bosses. The next is Big Bird, which is hinted at being an elite. Again, the camera angle seems to be stretched back, but not as much as the boss. Still enough to heighten the strength of this enemy. Its green coat most likely being a form of stealth in this green environment, it gives off prehistoric vibes with its design, and it reminds me of the elephant bird. Now mine and many others' most intriguing enemy, this gross ass centipede. It looks to be a very different kind of fight with 3 health bars but only 1 enemy. Its parts are stuck together by whatever this gross substance is. We see very briefly that when it's defeated, its parts wither away. I'm going to be very curious to see how this fight changes when one limb is taken away. I'm also wondering if there is a tactic to which limb is best to remove, as maybe there are strengths and weaknesses to taking out the front or back, but it's a different fight entirely if you remove the middle limb first. We get a bigger version of the iconic Act 1 enemy. I like the implication that this is the full-size version of this enemy, and we've just been slaughtering baby versions of this whole time. On top of that, we get an owl in some leather armor, Bob from Monsters vs. Aliens, some bee warrior who people with trypophobia will hate, a very creepy enemy who is basically an eye being held up by souls, which is very cool. His whole background seems spooky, so I'm excited for this floor. Some rhino beetle, a red warrior bug who is probably my second favourite design revealed. I might be wrong looking at its health pool, but he seems like an elite enemy, similar to the gremlin knob I'd bet from Act 1, but the higher ranked cards would suggest this is Act 2, so it might be a common enemy. The thieves make a return in bug form. If these guys work the same as the automaton floaters, and they take my best card, I'm gonna cry. Big gross orb standing on worm legs. Interestingly, this guy is the one enemy not displayed with a health bar, or showing the player the screen. Could be a boss, or another reason they are choosing to hide the rest off the screen. Another boss by the looks of it, who appears to be a combination of the champ and the automaton. I'm sure many have noticed the little guy in his head controlling the body, and his far more impressive sword than our ironclads. Based off the little guy and his silly attacks, this boss appears to be more on the comedic end. The stone statue could be a reference to the giant head enemy in the first game. One thing I did notice about this guy is that the scythe appears to be broken, but during the spin animation he holds it together. I've seen theories that this is the giant head before he was broken, but he is a lot smaller than the giant head, so I doubt that. These two give off similar vibes to the Mystic and the Centurion, with one being some kind of backline, long-range caster, and his spectral frontline fighter. And lastly, we got this creature. The first thing I noticed about this guy is how far forwards the Ironclad appears to be. It's just a theory purely based on the fact that this could actually be an event and not a traditional enemy. Just looking at the way it swallows the Ironclad whole is the type of attack we've not really seen before. Looking at design, I'm really not sure what to say other than I'm sure the community is going to have a field day with this guy. Slay the Spire, in my opinion, is one of the best dungeon runners ever made, so I have high hopes for this game, and these designs don't disappoint so far. Thanks for watching, and if you did enjoy, please consider subscribing. I'm not going to bore you with the watch to subscribe ratio, as honestly it's depressing to look at mine. But if you want to see more deep dives into this game when it comes out, liking and subscribing really does motivate me, but it's totally your choice. Thank you and have a great day.